Assalamu alaikum. The director, TCAM, representing the Honorable Minister, Federal Ministry of Health, our professors here present, Professor Anthony, Professor Idu, Professor Yungadi, the president. It's more of interactive session. I will not be able to read everything in 25 minutes. I will summarize what the paper is. I'll read the abstract and then give you a brief history of the three regions of the country. You know, whenever you are studying traditional medicine, you have to know the three regions of Nigeria, particularly the Hausas, the Yorubas, and the Igbos, which are commonly mentioned in most of our books. You know, as a researcher or as an anthropologist, you have to use what is being used all the time in the country. The Hausas from the north, where I come from, the Yorubas from the south, and the Igbos either from the west and the Igbos. So, you know, from my own experience as a Hausa woman, I know more of my own part. I read about the Yorubas. You know, there is a little connection between the Hausas and the Yorubas in anthropology because we intermarry because of the religion factor. So the Igbos also, there are a little bit of, what do I call it? A little bit of connection between us. So I'm going to read, I'm sorry for maybe if there is any Igbo person here, he will be more able to shed more light on the way their own traditional medicine is being used. I'm more conversant with the Hausas and the Yorubas. This paper attempts to unravel the historical development of traditional medicine in Nigeria. In this paper, emphasis was made on the three major regions in Nigeria, where the Hausa, the Yorubas, and the Igbos were considered in the study because of their status as the predominant ethnic groups in the north, west, and southern part of the country. This paper narrated the method of healthcare, diagnosis, treatment, and specialization among the traditional medicine practitioners in the past centuries. The role of religious belief in traditional medicine was also explained, as well as the magical and mystic practices in traditional medicine. While describing the introduction of Orthodox medicine in Nigeria, the paper highlighted the current patterns of modernization of traditional medicine and products, and ends with a note of the key areas that require government attention in improving traditional medicine in Nigeria. As you all know, introduction, medicine is a substance that prevents, cures, or diagnoses diseases. I gave the definition of medicine, which is almost known by everybody here. The typical variations of structures and functions, disabilities, disorders, injuries. This is all definition of traditional medicine. As we go in, then the definition of tradition. You know, when you say tradition, it has so many meanings. What do you call it? The scholars of cultural studies and sociology. The scholars of cultural studies, sociology, and anthropology have different approaches in describing the term traditional medicine. Many of the definitions tend to pay attention to the word tradition or traditional, and hence end up in brand naming it, as was mentioned yesterday, those of us that attended the briefing yesterday. It changed the dimension and the thinking of what traditional medicine is by mere taking just the dictionary meaning of tradition and traditional. It named it as native, local, herbal, magical, alternative, ancient, black medicine, unorthodox, etc. These biased colonial terminologies undercut our essential cultural heritage and seriously discourage the efforts of our promising scholars and researchers of our great medicinal cultural heritage. In an attempt to balance the equation, World Health Organization defines traditional medicine which I got, is written in the paper, I got from Sephora. As a scholar or as a researcher from the university, I can't go straight and say this is, I have to tell you where I got it from. It was quoted from a book.
You can sit down.
Business visa to show us, those samples that you have. I visited your outfit and so much to learn from value addition of almost every common thing you find in the market. So I don't know if you have some so that you can show us so we can appreciate more of what you are trying to say.
So actually there is none today to show, but we were at the exhibition style yesterday. We came with some products, and if there is, I think there is an exhibition tomorrow. Yes, and it will be there tomorrow. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, please, there is an announcement here. The car owner, BWR92RK, please could you go and park the car well? Car owner BWR92RK, please. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Ruzu.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Robert Onyemechoso. I'm the MD of Ruzu Holistic Healthcare, Abuja, and the Ruzu Herbal Product and Services Limited. I have 2 comments to make. Listen to the first speaker. Thank you so much, Doctor. You have actually broadened our understanding on the history of Nigerian traditional medicine. And if you look at the presentation, it clearly shows that we cannot segregate the practice from the environment. They interact. So you can see that if what is attainable in the north can work effectively in the north, you come to the south, it may be different. You come to the east, it may be different. So, but what matters is how can we harmonize all of them and get a unique practice. I now see this aromatic in the front, in the forefront of this practice. Now I'm saying this in respect to how to manage this COVID-19 symptoms. Aromatherapy are proving to be very, very effective, in managing the virus. Of course, we all know that it is a practice that is attainable in all the parts of Nigeria and the East, West, where you can get ginger, get garlic, put bitter cola, get a guinea straw, with some quantities and add water and boil, and you use use blanket, cover your body and inhale and open your mouth. It goes through your mouth and your nose. Many of us have used it and proven to be very effective. So based on the presentation, I'm now encouraging everyone seated here to use that as a means of also managing this COVID-19 and the other health challenges, especially like malaria and fever, Then the second one I want to mention is looking at it, I want to also appeal to the policymakers that if you look at the practice, it sometimes contradicts with our religious belief, and it makes people feel that some of the practices are fictitious or are ungodly. So how can our policymakers organize some programs, especially in television or radio program, where practitioners like us can come on air and educate Nigerians why they begin, so that they can get better understanding about this traditional practice, which is called Nigerian traditional medicine. It is purely for Nigerian practice, and these are what we have done from time immemorial. So government can help us to organize programs where practitioners like us and some academicians who have this understanding as well can come on air and educate Nigerians various practices and why they should not look at it as is ungodly or fictitious. Then the second speaker, I want also to throw a few lights on the presentation, and that has to do with how many of us here understand the huge benefits in cultivating medicinal plants. Today we talk about yam, talk about cassava, plantain. How many of, if you travel from east to the west, while you are going to Lagos from Abuja, what you are going to see is unutilized land. Unutilized lands. What are we using those lands for? If you come to the north, the same thing. My brothers and sisters, do you know that just planting Osinum gratinum, scent leaf, just cultivating it, have a lot of potentials. For us, we can even buy from you with the manufacturers. You know, yes, apart from even packaging it and exporting it out to the shore of Nigeria, we the practitioners here can buy. In CNN, they are advertising bitter cola, bitter leaf. You know, bitter leaf. Just bitter leaf capsule. Whereas at the back of our yard, you will see different species of bitter leaf that we can utilize it. So I'm also saying that we can as well benefit by understanding the huge benefits in this medicinal plant. How we can go into the planning. Just 1 minute, sir. I know I'm taking time. Just 1 minute. This minute is 2 years ago. The office of TCAM under Federal Minister of Health sent 3 representatives from Nigeria to go to Togo, you know, to under the leadership of WAO, West African Health Organization, you know, and their team and their objective was actually to go and become trainers of how to cultivate medicinal plants and setting up for botanical gardens. I was one of those that represented Nigeria. Ever since we came back, not much has been done. If you go to universities, how many of them actually, you know, having an organized botanical gardens? Are they there? If you go to NIPRIT, are they there? So let's all begin to internalize our energy, get this right, so that, you know, it will be easier for us. If you go to West, a lot of medicinal plants are there. They are harvesting it. What is the plan for replanting? It's not there. So that is why all this has become very, very necessary. Thank you.
One second, clap for you. No problem, Ruzu will give lecture. Please, I will speak also for 10 minutes. Okay. 5 minutes. Okay. But let's listen to the people. I'm just trying to get.
Thank you. At least I'm chair of this session, so I will be able to decide and move forward. There is something, as a chair, there's a reason why we have a chairperson for these kinds of symposiums. The chairperson is able to guide us within the focus where we're going to, and that's very, very important. Dr. Ruzu, some of the things and the comments that you are making here, I pretty much feel that we are actually preaching to an audience that is already converted. We are all in the same wavelength. Sometimes when we're making statements like government should, believe me, it may not be the way we are saying. I read theses from our students when they write their recommendation. Government should do this. Abuja is not going to come down to those theses and change those things you're talking about. What we need to do is that with such a symposium like we have today, we get all these declarations and points that we're talking about. It is not left for TCAM and these organizations and ministries, for instance, to come up with what they call a policy brief. A policy brief is what will synchronize all these ideas, put in a form that policymakers can read and take to the next level. That's exactly what we would actually need. You mentioned about, sorry that I have to respond, you mentioned about, Nigerians sending experts to go out and train. Those trainings, the countries you mentioned, believe me, all the skills are here. They're here in this hall. The skills are still here. So it's something that we expect other countries to come in here and take that knowledge, because the knowledge is here. All we need is that we need to go ahead and do it. And through policy briefs, we need to come up with the right policy briefs, put it on paper, take it to policymakers. And I think that TCAM is actually doing that at the moment. Now, we talk about packaging. Believe me, when you look at the exhibition stands, you realize that packaging of herbal products is improving in Nigeria. That's the truth about it. Look at, let's give a hand of applause to them. They are doing packaging. They are doing packaging, and this is in Nigeria. If you compare to other African countries, Nigeria has one of the excellent packaging for herbal products. Believe me, take a look about it. So we need to acknowledge that particular progress in that dimension. But what we need is to give visibility to these herbal practitioners. What we need today is to give visibility. What kind of visibility do we need to give to them? What kind of private sponsorship? There are companies in Nigeria, they are not investing in this sector. They are rather also investing more in the entertainment sector. And they are not investing in this sector to be able to give them that visibility. We also need scientists to come in and help to see how that sector can be organized. There is so much haphazardness in their practice. How do we harmonize that? And TCAM is already in that process. True, if you listen to what our senior professor mentioned yesterday, Professor Ruzu, I talked about that, the BSc program, the bill that is ongoing at the National Assembly, and as well as the Institute. When these three arms are fully functional, some of your worries, and if not most or all of your worries, would be addressed. So that is on course, and that is very, very important. Okay? Now, what we need to give to you, the practitioners that are here, if you look at the history and this trait, what we are moving to another level. We have to be able to sit down again and reorganize this history of traditional medicine. What she has given us today is a synopsis. She needs to go back again. We need to go back again, talk to the traditional medical practitioner who would also reshape and give us more on that history. Very important. Then what we need is international trade. How do we take these traditional medicines that we have in Nigeria, medicinal plants, out of the shores of Nigeria? Is very important, so that can bring us and increase our internal economies of scale in the country. That's what we need moving forward. So we need more questions for that. Please be very, very brief with your questions. It's either you are asking a question or making a comment. Thank you very much.